Hi viewers, let's look at some of the words. Exuberant, categorically, fantabulous, sporadically. How many of you use these words frequently? Some of us use them occasionally and some of us never use at all. They of course enrich your language, makes your speech and writing look beautiful, but they are not used frequently. On the other hand, there are simple words which we use very frequently, almost in every sentence, like the prepositions to and for. Most of the times we focus on enriching our language, forgetting the basic use with some small words like to and for. These are the two words which are most confusing in English. So in this video, I am going to explain how the words to and for should be appropriately used in our daily life. To make it easy for viewers to understand and use to and for appropriately, I have divided this video into three parts. In the first part, I am going to explain where the word to is used, what are the different applications of to, and some simple rules associated with to. In the second part, I am going to explain the usage of for, the same format, where it is used, how it is used. And in the third section, we are just going to have a recap session quickly by comparing to and for. That should give you a very good outline of how these words are used. Let's go ahead. The first and the most common usage of to is to indicate the destination. When someone or something has to reach somewhere, then we use the word to. For example, my uncle will go to London next week. My mom told me to give this cake to you. If you observe both the examples, to London and to you are the usages of to. To is followed by the destination, where a person should reach and where the cake had to reach. So in both the cases, the word to is used followed by its destination. The second usage of the word to is to indicate the reason or the purpose. Let's look at some examples. I came here to see you. The hospital was built to serve the poor. In both the cases, to is followed by the reason. To see you, to serve the poor. One more thing that we should observe here is, while we are using the word to specify the reason, the word to is followed by the verb in its base form, or what we call V1 form. To see you, to serve the poor. This is the second usage. The third usage. It's a simple one. The word to is also used to indicate your preference in comparison with something else. For example, I prefer coffee to tea. I prefer walking to skipping. So here we are comparing two similar things, coffee and tea, walking and skipping, but we are just indicating something that we would prefer. For example, if I say I would prefer coffee to tea, I vote for or I give preference to coffee than tea. Fourth and the last usage. To can also be used as a preposition to indicate time. Normally in American English, or generally the time that is used popularly around the world, we say 6:45 p.m., 6:45 a.m., 5:15 a.m. and so on. In British English, we can use that as 6:45, that is 15 minutes to 7, which is same as 6:45. So 6:45, 7:45, we can use like that. They also indicate the minutes by saying it's 10 to 5, which simply means it's 4:50 either AM or PM. Now let's switch over to for. For is another preposition which is almost used like to, and most of the times it's wrongly replaced in place of to. So it's important that we understand where and how the word for should be used. The first usage, like to, for is also used to indicate the reasons or the purposes. For example, we invited him for the party. We invited him for the party. So the party is the reason for inviting him. And the second usage is I came here for collecting some data. I came here for collecting some details. If you look at these examples, just observe what the word for is followed by. In the first example, we have invited him for the party. For is followed by the noun. Party is a noun. In the second case, I have come here for collecting some data. Here the word for is followed by a verb, collecting. So the word collecting is not in its base form, it is in its ing form, which is present participle, or what we call it as V4 form. So we must be very clear on usage of for when we are using it for specifying a reason. First usage is it can be used with a noun directly. We invited him for the party. Or the second usage is it can be used with a verb, but make sure that the verb is used in its ing form. I have come here for collecting some details. Let us not interreplace them in a wrong way. For example, I cannot say we have invited him to attending the party. To attending the party is not right. For attending the party is fine. At the same time, we cannot just say I have come here to collecting some details, not to collecting. It can be I have come here to collect some details, that is fine. So we must be very careful that when we use the word for to indicate a reason, that should be followed by either a noun like for the party, or it can be followed by the ing form of the verb, that is for collecting some details. Let's look at the second usage of for. For is used to indicate the agreement. You must have heard popularly for and against. The word for indicates agreement with something or someone. I can just say he spoke for the new agricultural policies. This simply means that he is agreeing, or he has accepted, he is convinced, he is supporting the new agricultural policies introduced by the government. So we say he spoke for the new agricultural policies. If it was against, we could have used he spoke against the agricultural policies introduced by the government. So the word for is used to indicate the agreement. For example, your intelligence should work for your happiness. So here it is supporting. Your intelligence should support your happiness. So to indicate that your intelligence should work for your happiness, not against it. The third and another simple usage of for is to indicate the time period or duration. Whenever some time period has to be specified, we use the word for. For example, I have been studying for 5 years in this university. Can you please wait for me for 5 minutes? Here when I say I have been studying for 5 years, or can you please wait for me for 5 minutes. Here the here the duration is 5 minutes, 5 years, etc. That is preceded by the word for. For indicates the duration. We cannot use the word to or anything else or since for the duration here. It's always for 4 years, for 5 years, for half an hour, for 5 weeks, and so on. Another simple usage of for is the benefit and the favor. If you say eating mangoes is good for building immunity, so building immunity is the benefit that we are going to get by eating mangoes. Eating mangoes is good for building immunity. Secondly, if I say something like, can you please carry these books for me? So here for me just indicates the favor. Okay, can you please do a favor for me? Or can you help me in some way? So to indicate that we are using the word for. Can you please carry these books for me? We cannot say, can you please carry these books to me? It's for me. You can just say something like, I brought these flowers for you. So here we just don't say, I brought these flowers to you. It should be flowers for you. For you is a higher level of dedication or in favor, indicating that these were exclusively done something for you. In some cases, we cannot interreplace to and for, and if you interreplace, they give entirely different meaning. For example, if I say, I am writing a letter to you, it simply means I am writing a letter and you will receive it. If I say, I am writing a letter for you, it may be the letter is being written for you so that you can just read, or maybe you are unable to write the letter, so to help you, to do a favor for you, I am writing a letter on behalf of you to someone else. Okay, so I am writing a letter for you is different from I am writing a letter to you. Now we have come to the last part of the video where we will quickly recap the points that we discussed so far about to and for. We are going to quickly find or recap the differences between to and for. Let's begin with the first usage, that is the words to and for used for indicating the reason or purpose. Firstly, the word to is used to indicate the reason, and we know that to should be followed by the base form of the verb. I came here to see you. Okay, so the word see is in its base form, whereas when for is used, we can use for and which we can continue with a noun or a verb after that. For example, he came for the party. We have invited him for the party. So here for is followed by the party, which is a noun. At the same time, for can also be followed by a verb, but verb should be in its ing form, ing form. For example, I have come here for collecting some details. For is followed by collecting. So to is followed by the base form of the verb. For can be followed by either a noun or the ing form of a verb to indicate the reason or the purpose. The second similarity or the second similar usage of to and for is about the time. The word to is used to indicate time in British English. For example, we say it's 7:15 to indicate it is 6:45. We can also say it is 10 to 5 to indicate it's 4:50 and so on. To is used to indicate the time. When it comes to for is used to indicate the duration or a time period. For example, I have been waiting for 4 hours. For 4 hours, 4 hours is the duration or the time period for which I have been waiting. We can also say for 4 hours, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks and so on. For is followed by the duration, whereas to is followed by the time left out to reach some other time. For example, 4:45 just indicates quarter of an hour, which is 15 minutes left to reach 5, that is 4:45. Another place where we get confused between to and for is the usage when related to destination or favor. When someone or something has to move from one place and should reach some other place or to reach some other person, we use the word to. My uncle will go to London next week. So that person is going to London. So London is a destination here. My mother asked me to give this cake to you, which means the cake, the box of cake should reach the destination, that is you. At the same time, the word for is used to indicate the favor. So favor is basically the reason to do something. For example, if I say these flowers were brought for you, so here you are the reason for bringing these flowers. So here for indicates the favor in some, favor in favor of some person, or exclusively done something for someone or something. So the word for and to are used in different contexts. To is used just to physically move from one place to another place, or some details or some idea to move from one place to another place. For example, you can just say my mom told me to give this letter to you, or my mom told me to inform this to you. Inform something, some detail, some information. Whereas for indicates something which is dedicated to you. For example, this song is dedicated for you. So these flowers were brought for you. This cake is made for you. Or I can carry these books for you. I can write a letter for you. So exclusively for you, to help you or to impress you or to lessen your burden, I can do something in your favor. So for and to are exclusively used in different contexts. And finally, to and for are used for entirely different usages, entirely different purposes. For example, to is used to indicate a preference. I prefer coffee to tea. And there is another usage of for which is not related to these preferences, where for is used for agreement or acceptance of something. For example, he spoke for the leaders of the party. So I supported something. If I want to say I support something, then I can just say I speak for you, I speak for this idea. So for is used to indicate the agreement here. So after all these usages, some simple rules where verb should come, where base form should come, where ing form should come, and where only the noun should come. After discussing all these things, we are still not complete. This video ends here with the basic understanding of how to and for should be used. There are some cases where to is also followed by the ing form of a verb. We do not say I am looking forward to meet you, we say I am looking forward to meeting you. When and how that should be used, let's learn that in the next video. That's all for now. Bye bye.